Hello, hello. Hopefully people can hear us. It says that we are live. This is my first time.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I'm just going to roll with it. It's saying that we're live. I am here with John at JPO, and we are going to talk cards. We're going to dig into his background a little bit. And so first off, I guess I'll just start there, John. You're an artist. You're based in New York, from what I gather. Tell me a little bit about how you got into the art scene, and then we'll just start there.
Well, I'll give you the quick story. So right out of high school, I was actually an electrician. So I was in the trades for a while, then moved up to the ranks to be like project manager and stuff. And then I ended up getting hurt, and I was out of work for a while, and I picked up some canvases that my dad had laying around, some paints, and I started doing that while I was laid up. And I kind of put it up on social media, and people started liking it and said, hey, you should show your work. So I did. And I just networked from that first show I did in New York, because I was living in Connecticut at the time, which I'm living back in Connecticut now, but I still hold some space in New York. It just snowballed, man. I networked, and being in New York at the time, that's the land of opportunity as far as that goes. So, I've gotten to work on many very cool projects, worked with a bunch of cool brands, Gap. I've been on MTV News, which was really cool because
nice.
as a kid, it's like, watching MTV at that time is just like, wow.
That's everything.
Yeah. So I did a mural for the VMAs in 2016 with a buddy of mine, and it was pretty cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I worked with Puma, which is funny because it was for draft day last year in Brooklyn. They had me do a piece for their pop-up shop, and Danny Green was there actually with the trophy, which is really cool.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
So, but anyway, so so that's my life.
And for those that are watching, so John's being very humble and not mentioning it, but you've seen his work before, most likely. He did the piece. Jeff at Sports Card Investor has a new piece in his new studio that it's the one that actually says Sports Card Investor on that piece, and it's in the background in a lot of the new videos that he's doing. And I believe on the virtual you would have seen it as well. But John was the one that did that piece. So congrats on that one, John. That is a pretty nice piece.
Thanks, man. Yeah, Jeff's a great guy. I actually hit him up on Instagram to ask him a sports card question, and it was cool that he asked me about my work, and then we just formed a relationship that way. And it's always nice to talk to great people, and especially about hobbies that you're into. And I learned from him, and then I got to do work for him, so it's a win-win for everybody. So very happy to have that done.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, good deal. All right. Well, let's go ahead and let's seg into the good stuff. So tell me about your card journey. Start from the very, very beginning. You came out of the womb and you grabbed a pack of cards, or how did it happen?
I was ripping wax.
You came out ripping. So tell me how you got into it.
Well, growing up, with my dad, kind of probably a similar story to everybody. It was one of those hobbies. It was that time. I was born in '81.
Same with me. Okay.
Yeah. So, growing up in that time, it was like comic books and sports cards. And we had the local comic sports card shop, and went in there, and, Dad, can I buy a box of cards? And once a week.
Right.
Like, yeah, I'll get you some Bowman, I get you some Tops, and then Upper Deck came out, and that was the set to have. So, yeah. So
back then you got 15 cards in a pack, or 20. You got 20 cards in a pack instead of 5 cards or 1 card or whatever.
Yeah, for $4. Now you're looking at a box of 8 cards for $700, or wherever the choice boxes are now. It's just like, what's going on? So
did you pull any Griffey Jr. rookie cards, those 89 Upper Deck Griffies, when you were a kid?
Yeah, and you know what the funny thing is? Since I got back into it, I was like, Dad, where are all those cards? And he's like, I don't know. Yeah. So, but I moved sports. As a kid, you kind of like jump around and you go through phases, and you start with baseball, and then I moved into where did I go from there? I went into hockey, because there's a player on the New York Rangers that had my same name, John Ogrodnik, that played for them in the 80s, early 90s. and he was a star player on the team, which was cool. So that kind of got me into hockey, and then I, collected a bunch of hockey cards, Jaromir Jagr rookies, and all the Eric Lindros, and stuff like that, which is cool. And then as I got older, I got more into basketball, and the Shaq rookie was big, and I actually had to pick up a few of those early on and getting back into the hobby. The Ultra Flares, I think I showed you actually while we were talking one time.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that was the card, that and Alonzo Mourning at the time, the Skybox.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's iconic, like images to me as a kid,
Yeah. I think it was was it 92 Flair Ultra basketball? I remember like the emblem was really cool looking. The packs, I think, were even like glossy.
Yeah.
Yeah, those were. So did you get any of the late 80s basketball cards because we're the same age. I was born in 81 too. So I feel like I was a little young to get like the 86, 87 stuff. I think maybe like 89 hoops. I remember I did have maybe a single or two of like 88 Flair basketball, but I missed the 86 Flair stuff. It wasn't even on the radar.
Yeah. The first set that I started collecting for basketball was the hoops, the 89 hoops with, I think it was the David Robinson rookie card, if I'm not.
That's right. Yeah. So did you go to so I remember too, that card was, I used to go to card shows were rampant back then in shopping malls. And I was in Panama City, Florida. And I remember, I swear, it felt like every 3 weeks there was a card show in the mall. I think it kept the mall running, where all the card shows and and then also the autographed, all the autograph stuff, all the,
memorabilia and stuff. Yeah.
Memorabilia. Yeah, I remember there was a card show. It felt like every single, 3-4 weeks. It was wild, but those were the days,
Yeah. And my dad took me to all of them, so it was awesome. We were always there, buying up boxes just to have, and it was a lot of fun. Because he's been a baseball fan since he was a kid. He grew up and he was always a Yankees fan, New York Giants fan. The baseball team. His player when he was a kid was Willie Mays, so he's actually having a lot of fun, and we'll talk more about this with the Topps Project 2020, because Willie Mays rookie card is in that set. So that's his guy, so that's who he's collecting, all the artists that are doing him. So
okay, so you collected as a kid. Did you take a break collecting, or did you go all the way through till now?
Yeah, you grow up and other things take your focus, and
girls and family and all the rest of it.
Same with and then you want that nostalgia feeling, similar to what you kind of talk about on your show at times. It's that nostalgia. It's like, oh my God, like this is a lot of fun. Like it's fun to learn about the players that you're interested in. It gets you back into sport, because for a while, because of my schedule, it was really hard for me to follow sports. Like I got really big into football later on in life. I was never really into football as a kid, and I got big into football probably in my early to late 20s, or early to mid 20s. I'm sorry. And then I was like all in, like New York Giants all day. I could tell you every player. Like when I get into it, like I study everything, and I think I enjoy the research.
Okay, great.
So what got me back into the hobby, and it's going to be the same story, and I feel it I hate saying it. Well, I don't hate saying it, but it's like when I saw Gary Vee talking about it back in February, I'd say, and I was like, my ears perked up. I was like, okay, well, I know this guy. I've been following Gary Vee for a while, and I'm like, this guy knows what he's talking about, and this is an accessible point for me. This is something I would be interested in to learn about,
Yeah. That was the same for me. I felt like I already liked Gary Vee. Had no idea that he was into cards up until probably 6-9 months ago. I found out that he was into sports cards, and I liked him even more because of that. But I just liked him as a kind of a motivational speaker. I thought that he had uplifting messages. And then I found out he was into cards, and I was like, I got back into it about 2 years ago, and I thought that I was like, maybe I was crazy or something. Like, I feel like there's some really good values, but I thought that, I thought it was just like, hey, is this just my nostalgia talking? Is this just me wanting this to be really cool? Like with all the new sets and the graded cards and all that. But then I started to, see more and more people talking about it. I saw Jeff at Sports Card Investor. He came out with a show, and I started watching him right out of the gate. I think I found his show maybe a week after he started it back in July last year. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay. Like this guy's, speaking my language. I like what he's talking about here. So,
Right.
And then of course it kind of spawned off into other shows and, more content and so forth. So, but yeah, no, it's been an interesting ride. It's been fun.
Yeah, I guess I needed to hear, for me to get back into a hobby like this. It was probably because I had no idea what to do or whatever. It was probably good for me to see it from Gary Vee, because I do trust his judgment on investing. So it is a nice balance, I think, of investing and collecting for me. I think probably investing is a little heavier than the collecting side, because certain players I'm going to invest in, and I'm not really caring about having it for my PC.
Right. Yeah, and for me, it's like there's certain cards that I want that my wife is never going to allow me to buy unless I buy and sell to get to that point to buy that card. So
Yeah.
It's like to feed that collection, the collection I want to have. It's the only way I'm going to get there. It's through kind of buying and selling.
Well, like being back in the hobby since like early March, I guess, right before, everything shut down due to COVID. Like, so I've been spending money more than selling my girlfriend's like,
yeah, same thing. Yeah.
Right. Well, when are you going to start selling? I'm like, well,
yeah.
the cards off to get graded. So I'm waiting on PSA and SGC now. And I'm just like, just hold on, just wait, you'll see. And she's like, okay. She trusts what I'm doing. I mean, but
my wife is saying the same thing. It's like there's a lot of cards coming in the mail, and I don't see a whole lot going out in the mail. Like, when are you going to the post office?
I feel ashamed sometimes coming up from the mailbox, and it's like
yeah.
packages like this, stacked. I'm like, oh God, I don't remember buying that many.
Yeah.
But I see the value. I'm not going to buy anything that I don't see the value in,
Right. No, I know. And it just feels like, and maybe it's again, like I'm crazy, but I feel like there's a lot of good buys out there depending on kind of where your strategies lie in it. And let's kind of seg into the next part of the conversation, kind of on the back of that. What would you say? Do you have a defined kind of collecting/investing strategy? Does it change, with the day? Like for me, I feel like it changes, so, but do you have a certain kind of game plan that you have in place that you're utilizing?
Well, I do a lot of research, man. I watch a lot of YouTube videos. I watch a lot of highlights, a lot of commentary on certain players, who's hot, who do I hear like, oh, is in a running for an award, or who's like coming back off an injury. And then what I do is I research what is like their first year card, but also the first year of a set, because those are the way the hobby is going. Like the first year optics, 2016, everybody in that set all of a sudden was worth a lot of money, because that was the first year optic was born pretty much. And these are all things that you learn getting back into something. But man, I just try to stay ahead of the trend, and ahead of the curve. So if I see one somebody on like a Facebook group saying, hey, I'm buying second year Luka's Prism, I'm like a couple months ago we were talking, I was like, that makes that makes sense, because second year LeBrons are going for thousands of dollars right now, because his rookie is $13,000 or whatever it is right now. So
yeah.
And I think Luka, like you, I believe a lot in the player. If I believe in the player and his ability, and I've done my research on him, I'm all in, but I'm not like Gary Vee or anybody like that, where I have tons of money to spend. So like if he talks about buying like the Prism rookie, I can't go out and buy 100 of those or 50 of those, or even 5 or 10 of them, really. I'm an artist, so I'm looking to invest and make money and build up my bank account in order to keep investing. There's a percentage obviously that you reinvest in the hobby. So
yeah, you made a great point. I talk a lot about, I kind of use LeBron as the ceiling for a lot of the sets and the cards, because it's like, okay, if LeBron is priced at this and Kawhi Leonard is priced way down here, that just like it's probably a decent value, if Kawhi can perform and all the rest of it. But you kind of look at LeBron. That's kind of like my multiplier that I'm using, is like where's LeBron's price at this card, or this set or whatever. And then based on that, I'll look at the other players and think about, because for me, I mean, I'd love to have more LeBron, but I just feel like prices are so high on LeBron right now. I don't know if it's not a good buying season for me for LeBron. I think that maybe down the line it could be, but I can't get in at this point. So I'm looking at all the other guys.
Yeah, I can't touch LeBron either. I mean, if I win it in a box break or something, like where's this? I just won this one, which was really nice. The LeBron Red Wave in from the T-Mall Optic boxes.
Nice.
I mean, that was really nice pull I got. But other than that, like if I buy a blaster, I like Optic a lot as a set. Like I'll buy singles of Prism, but there's no way I'm paying Prism prices for a box. You know?
Right.
But a few months ago, I was paying $50 a box for a blaster of Optic, and I hit a bunch of nice cards like this guy who, you know, I'll hit out of a pack box, but I'm not buying singles of and that's something I wanted to piggyback on what you're saying about LeBron, is that I think the market for LeBron is awesome, but I feel that he's part of that hype train, right? He's a GOAT. Don't get me wrong, but in my opinion, sometimes, and who I'm cueing is Zion, is that the hype is there, but if you actually take away the hype, I mean, and you look at his numbers and what he has done, why is he even in the running for, or even the talks for Rookie of the Year? The guy's played 20-something games, and especially in the bubble, if you see his bubble performance, I know we talked about it briefly, it's just been like, 7 points or whatever. And he looks tired, out of shape, and injured, in my opinion. So that's somebody I'm not investing in myself.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm curious on kind of like what you had said. There was, I think after his first, I watched the highlights. Was it last night or the night before? But it looked like he came up. It looked like he came up limp, like a little bit limp.
Mm-hmm.
And just the way that he like getting back up down the court, it did look like maybe he was favoring, a lower body thing or whatever. Who knows? Like, I don't know. Obviously, I'm not a doctor, but it just looked like he went in for a layup, and it looked like he kind of hobbled a little bit. But it could just be that's, I mean, it might not be, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm so torn on Zion. I love the kid because he plays for the Pelicans, and I'm a diehard Saints fan. So I'm kind of by default, I do pull for the Pelicans. I'm not a diehard Pelicans fan, but I like the Pelicans. I like to see them do well. But yeah, he's an enigma. It's like who really knows?
See, well, I'm getting back into the hobby. When I was a kid, I was a big Knicks fan. Mid '90s Knicks, like Patrick Ewing, Charles Oakley, John Starks was my man.
Oh, yeah. John Starks.
Oh, John Starks was a beast. But getting back into the hobby, and obviously I'm basing off of just this year. Like I'm really digging watching the Memphis Grizzlies play. I love watching John Morant. I've invested heavily into John Morant from back in March. I was getting like his Optic rookies for $16 to $20 a piece in that range, and sent a ton off to PSA. So I'm just waiting on getting those back and picking up, some Optic colors and, some Prism bases, some red, white, and blue, or green, I think Prism. But Ja, and then my man, this is my guy right here. This is Brandon Clark.
Oh, that's right. You've been talking Brandon Clark. Yep. Okay. So, what about Brandon Clark do you like? And tell us about give us the synopsis.
I feel like a lot of people counted him out because he's a little older. He's 23 coming into the league. He played for Gonzaga. And he just was taken kind of later in the draft. And because of Ja being on the same team, Ja's in the spotlight. And he was able to, put up great points all year long and just be kind of that guy that was there to catch an alley-oop from Ja and being in the mix. So I think that he's getting more momentum, and his shooting percentage is one of the best of all the rookies. Because I did my research on him, and I just like him as an overall player because he's so like in tune with what's going on the court, and he's showing a lot of potential. So I invested heavily in him back in like April when I really figured out that was my guy that I'm investing heavily. So I bought like it's sickening not sickening, but I probably have around 250 to 300 of his cards right now. Just
nice.
Sitting, waiting, because I'm just letting the market building.
Hey, if he pulls a Bol Bol, then you can sell off and buy a house.
Well, this is a Prism Silver. I was buying these in April for, again, like $16, $17 all day, and I bought quite a few of them. But I bought a bunch of base, and we could go into that. Like, but just to go back, like this card right now, I think is selling for $70 to $80.
Wow.
So 3 months, 4x or whatever that is on your money. And most of his cards, I see that obviously like Prism will start going up in value. Like as I'm getting more acquainted to the market, I see Prism is the first to hit. Everybody wants to buy the Prism. The prices of Prism go up, and then Optic and Select follow that. And now Mosaic obviously is kind of like trailing along with those three.
Do you think that will hold over time? Meaning that, like 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the line, when people are buying kind of what they'll be called, the kids will be calling those vintage cards, in 15 years or whatever. Do you think, that Prism will still be king? Do you think that it could be Optic? Do you think it could be, Mosaic or any of these other sets that could kind of, because Mosaic makes a cool looking card. I mean, who knows? Maybe down the road they'll be like, man, Mosaics are sweet.
Well, they gotta fix their surface issues.
Yeah. Yeah.
Other than that, they're a nice looking card. It took me a minute to get used to it. Kind of like, I don't know, with anything new like that. Like if your favorite band comes out with a new album, you're like, it sounds a little different, but grow on you. So Mosaic has grown on me. So yeah, I'm in on Mosaic. I wasn't going to pay retail prices for their wax boxes or anything like that. I'm not paying that much money. So I stick to singles. If I feel like I want to open a box or open some packs, I'll look for something, low end to buy, just because to me, it's not worth it,
Yeah.
Especially now with
actually, that's a good question too. And in the chat, if there is anyone, what is that low end box in basketball? And it doesn't even have to be like 2019, but if there's another year going back, maybe that, where it's just a fun box to rip that's not going to break the bank. If you could put that in the chat, I'd love to know, just only because like for my little ones that I'm trying to get into this, I can't necessarily afford to buy the current, the current stuff. But if you have any suggestions there, I'd love to hear that. All right. So, so just going back to that Grizzlies team, and John and I were talking about this before we came live, but, who is going to be that Zion in 5 years? Who's that player that's playing right now, that in 5 years we're like, man, we could have got that rookie card for $1. Or like we were saying, there was that video of, the breaks from 5-6 years ago where they're throwing like Giannis silver prisms around, like, oh, I don't know who this guy is. Who is that? Who's going to be that guy? It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. We were talking about that. I think that's why I'm not throwing away any rookie cards. If I'm opening any boxes or something, I'm not throwing away any rookies. I'm just putting them in penny sleeves and kind of putting them aside, even if they're like going for $0.25 a card. Like, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy that said, shit, I had 10 of those. Why did I just toss them in the garbage,
Have you ever had where I had this happen last week where the actual card that was sent to me, it was a raw card, but to, I guess, insulate it, they tied other cards around, they like taped other cards. And there was cards that they had used to tape around where I'm like, man, I wish you would have just sent me these cards instead of using these as a buffer, for the card that I bought. It's like, these are actually like, I mean, they're and granted they were like Mosaic base cards, but still, like, you don't know. They're like, one of them was an Ayton, Mosaic base card. So it's a second year base Ayton. It's not worth anything right now, but who knows,
Yeah. Similar thing happened to me. I bought a card and somebody had packed the cards around it. And one was a pink ice from last year of Devin Booker. Second year ice prism. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I'll take them all. Yeah. Give me, if you got any more, I'll take them. But it's a different mindset though. That's what I'm saying. Like, the people that have been consistently in the hobby are at a different mindset. I think sometimes they're not, because the newer guys that are coming into the hobby have a different mindset to it. Like, it's like, okay, well, a second year card is an investment, or, I'm going to grab those for $1 a piece right now, because even if they go up to $8 in a few months, I'm still making money on them, as an investor rather than a collector's mindset. I guess that's what has changed, I think, in the market.
It's definitely different than when we were kids, because it's like, now, like, of course, I did a video where like my mom brought all my cards from like, 1990. And of course, all the commons there are worthless. But I feel like in 20 years, like you'll look back at these commons and there will be some gems in there. There'll actually be some stuff where you're like, oh, because it wasn't printed anywhere near as much. The print runs are not even close to what they were in 1990,
right?
Early 90s stuff. So.
Well, that's the scary part, man. It's like,
hoard and save everything.
Yeah. Well, I was watching some of the virtual with Jeff over the weekend, and I know that Topps came on, and I think you even touched on it with the video you did over the weekend here about the print runs and how Panini's kind of like talking about, like, not really saying their print runs. Obviously, they're not going to say that, but like. The print run is scary, but I don't think anybody's going to allow it to get where the junk era was,
It seems like, and this is just, and in my video I said, it's like my pure guess. I have no inside information whatsoever, but it just seems like, and a lot of people are annoyed with this too, is there will just be more products. So there'll be more rookie cards, as opposed to printing 100,000 million cases of Prism. They'll just maybe up that a little bit every year, and just create more, sets of different things.
Well, mosaic. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and the annoyance will be that there will be, 300, Shaq's son. I see in the chat, Shaq's son and LeBron's son. There will be like 300 rookie cards for each of those guys. Let's just say, as an example, and that will be, an annoyance, and it'll be trying to figure out, I guess, which sets are popular and which of those cards, are wanted by, by the hobby. It'll be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the interesting thing is that is the Prism rookie card going to be that rookie card 10 years from now that everybody's wanting, kind of similar with the Shaq rookies, like those changed. Like when I was a kid, the Ultra Flare was the card to have, but
yeah,
you could get those for $1 a piece. Obviously it's junk era, but like, that was the card to have, but now it's the Stadium Club.
The Beam Team?
The Beam Team, yeah.
Yeah.
Which still was a big card back then, but, the value has changed. It depends on who, and I don't know who calls that, who's the guy up, is there a guy up top saying, hey, like, this is the card now, guys, you have to go after this one,
Well, and you wonder too, like the kids today, and we've talked about this a bunch on the show, is that, they can't afford the prices on the secondary market for Prism, for example.
Right.
So, in 20 years, when those kids are adults, when they're 25 years from now, are they going to look back and say, you know what, I want 2018 Prism because now I can afford it, or whatever, like now that's my, I'm going back after that because I could never get it, as a kid. I just wonder, those are the things I think about.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, talk to me about. Let's seg into Bol Bol, the phenomenon of Bol Bol. Talk to me, because I know that you have a lot more knowledge on this guy than me. I'll be perfectly honest. I don't own any Bol Bol cards. He wasn't on my radar at all until those exhibition games. So, talk to me.
So I have to give credit to my buddy Mike for putting me on. He had his ear to the ground. He knows the the guys coming up from high school, even, going back. So Bol Bol, Manute Bol played at UB, University of Bridgeport, which is my hometown, actually. So, and I don't know where he lived after that or blah, 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 but I know that Bol Bol went to school up in West Hartford, in Connecticut. So I guess that's how he, kept his eye on him, throughout. So he told me, it was probably a month ago, man. He was like, dude, because I was like, all right, I know you play ball because he played ball in college and stuff. I was like, I know you play ball. Who's your guy? Like, I know you got your ear to the ground. I'm just starting getting back and learning, who's who in basketball. Like, who's your guy from this rookie class? And he's like, dude, Bol Bol. And I was like, what? Because I've seen his cards. I was like, I get it. Manute Bol's son. I watched Manute Bol play when I was a kid. I get it. But I was like, I was a little weary. I'll be honest with you. I was like, I don't know, Mike. Like, who else you got?
Right.
He goes, dude,
who else you got?
Yeah. He was like, dude, just buy some of his cards. And I was like, all right. So I went in on eBay and I was like, I bought a few of his Prism base and some of his Mosaic because I was getting them for like $2-3 a piece. And I was paying $5 for his Prism base a few weeks ago, and then all of a sudden the scrimmages started. And that first game, he hit 16. What do you have? 10 rebounds, something like that. 10 rebounds, 10 blocks. Anyway, he had amazing numbers for his first step on the court with all pros, because I think he was playing G League for a little while too. And I was like, holy shit, like I'm sold. So I went in and I kept on buying. And I know, and I let the kind of spark die down just a little bit. I don't try to like grab when the market's really hot, because even Jeff said like his market shot up like 300% that week. So I think the kind of like it died off because, in all the groups you hear people, saying, oh, well, it's just a scrimmage game, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And, people aren't bidding on him now. Like he got bought that day, but like a few days later, it kind of trailed off a little bit. So I've been continuing trying to find value in little auctions or, fire sales or something. So,
yeah, I'm going to try to I guess my thought with Bol Bol, I would like to pick up some Bol Bol, but I am going to wait until, I'm hoping that I guess it dies down a little bit to where his pricing, comes down some. I kind of equate this, it's not apples to apples, but the Cam Newton craze when he signed with the Patriots.
Yeah.
Newton cards shoot through the roof. We don't even know if Cam's going to start for the Patriots, and so with Bol Bol, it's kind of like the prices went up so fast that I'm like, I'm just chasing at this point. I'm just going to wait. I'll wait and see if maybe in the off season, I can get a little bit of a discount. But I did see the highlights, and he is one of those guys. Who knows? I mean, maybe it is like a Giannis. 5 years from now, maybe Bol Bol is a Giannis type player. Who knows?
Don't count him out, because I mean, if you look at Giannis when he came in, he didn't have he didn't have the body he has now. Like I know Bol Bol is a little on the thinner side, but like he has the potential to he has tons of potential. Let's just put it that way, in my opinion.
I mean, it's just so amazing to me when you see these guys, these guys that are 7 feet tall and taller that are knocking down threes like they are. I'm just like, I had somebody in the comments a couple of days ago that was arguing with me that Manute Bol used to also be, a big 3-point shooter. I'm like, no. I saw Manute Bol play. Okay. Yeah. Like I'm not saying he never hit a 3-pointer. He did. And they were sending me this video of Manute Bol hitting 6 threes in a game. Yes, he did that one time. Okay. But if you go through and look at his career stats, he was taking, I think it was 0.3, attempting 0.3 threes a game or something, or making 0.3 3-pointers a game. He was not a 3-point specialist. So when I see like Bol Bol, and now that's kind of today's NBA where these big guys, these tall guys knock down 3-pointers. So I'm like, that would be like a game changer.
Yeah. I mean, if you watched the Nuggets game yesterday, I watched some of it and I was surprised to see him playing. I mean, he didn't play very long, but they still played him, and they call it tall ball because it was pretty much everybody on that court at the time was, around that 7-foot mark. So it was cool to watch. I mean, I think he has tons of upside. This is the amount of cards I bought of his. So I'm invested. Yeah. I got over 30 of his cards in the past couple of weeks, and they're all kind of like, like some mosaic silvers and colors and stuff like that.
Yeah. But I really like those mosaic silver prisms, although it's the surface issues are usually the issue with those cards, but they're awesome.
Let me ask you this. So I bought a Brandon Clark. This is the mosaic prism card. What I want to know is why is the market for a regular silver, even in a prism, more than a prism hyper?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Because I think they're the same rarity. I don't know. But
I see Ziggy pretty active in the chat. Ziggy, do you know why regular prisms are more popular than hypers? Or does anybody know? If anyone wants to chime in on that, I'm not a prism specialist there. I thought that what I'd heard is that hypers are more rare, but for whatever reason they don't get the hobby love. It's kind of like green prism. Green prism is more rare than silver prism, but nobody likes green prism. I mean, people like them, but just not on the same level as silver.
Yeah, this is my top Bol Bol card. I got a little pink ice Bol Bol.
Oh, nice.
But other than that, like I've been watching that, and I could be wrong. You know, I'm like I said, I'm still new to the hobby, but I invest a lot in base cards, man. I see the value in base cards more than buying colored cards to me, and I could be wrong, but you know, if you're making 10x on a base card and you're making 7x on a color card because you're paying $100 for that rather than paying $20 for something, I'll buy 5 base cards before I buy 1 silver. Actually, in my opinion, I could be wrong, but
you know, and that's a good point too with base cards, because I know some people are like, why would you know, why buy base cards? They're worthless. But with the cost of product nowadays and how hard it is to get product, you know, you look at you know, if you can get a base card for $1 on a key player that you like,
yeah,
you know, I mean, maybe I guess you could lose that $1, but I mean, these are just, you know, the product is so rare. It's tough to find it, and it's super, super expensive. I don't see it getting a lot less expensive. Panini claims they're not reprinting, you know, sets. Once they finish printing, they're done printing. So, you know, I don't know. To me, I do understand that base card buy. I get it.
Yeah, like the Luka second year Prism. I watch tons of breaks. I make it a point to watch a lot of box breaks so I know what comes usually in a box. And like, you'll hit a Luka base card out of this year's Prism like once out of 3 boxes or so. So wow. Like I went and I bought a ton of his second year Prisms a couple months ago. And I mean, I was getting for $8 a piece at the time. Now it's a $20, $25 card raw, and you get them graded. They're $150. I mean, I don't know. A $20 investment to potentially get a PSA 10 and sell it right now. I mean, you know, who says the longer hold, they go up thousands, you know, in the thousands for that card.
On that subject, are you doing a lot of grading now, or has, you know, with the wait times of PSA and BGS, has that stopped you? Because I remember you had talked about, I know you've done some in the past. Are you still doing it, or do you have any plans to?
Still waiting for him to come back, like everybody. But yeah, man, I try to go for value, and I don't mind waiting for things. So I'm not going to pay for a 5-day turnaround when I can just sit and wait, because I feel like from what I've heard, even Gary Vee talk about, like if you can buy and continue to wait to sell them instead of trying to flip them like a month down the road to earn, you know, 2 times your money, and you could hold them for a year, a couple of years, even 10 years. And, you know, that value, if you believe in that player, if it's the right player, obviously it's going to keep going up. But I don't mind waiting for PSA, and I've sent a bunch to PSA, and I say a bunch, and that's to me a bunch, but you know, I've sent probably close to 100 cards out, and there are a lot of Ja rookie cards, a lot of Luka rookie cards. Like back in March, I was buying Luka optics because I couldn't touch the Prism still at that time. But I saw the value in the optics, so I bought a bunch of Luka optic rookie cards base, and I was getting them for about $45 at the time. And now, I mean, raw, they're almost $200 raw. Now,
are you still waiting for those to come back, those optics?
Yeah, I just missed when they closed for COVID. So all the cards are now at, you know, post-COVID shutdown. So who knows when I'm going to get those back, but yeah, I sent a bunch of those out, and so I'm just waiting. So, and right now, PSA 10's $700? I know you bought a couple like last week or a week, 2 weeks ago for $600, and they're already up to $700. It's nuts.
I know, and it was, you know what? It was one of those FOMO type moments where I was thinking, like, if I don't buy this card, I might never be able to afford it again.
Yeah,
you know, $600 is the most I've ever spent on one card, and it was like, this could easily be $1,000, could be $1,500, and then it's gone for me. You know. Yeah. So I kind of splurged. For me, that was a big splurge.
Yeah. Going back to your Pelicans, by the way, I like Brandon Ingram, and I did my research on him a few months ago. I was getting his optic because it's optics first set, and it's his rookie card, so I like that more than the Prism actually. So I bought a good amount of his rookie cards, and those I was getting them for $5-7 a piece a few months ago, and now they're a $30 card. So it's like,
wow. Yeah, Ingram was one of those guys that he wasn't on my radar. should have been, but just wasn't really on my radar. And then and by the time he was on my radar, it was too late, and he was on everybody's radar. Like,
yeah.
And now I feel like I still think he's probably a good value now. I mean, I haven't looked at his prices, but he's still young in his career. I mean, he could do some good things.
I just went to my local card shop and picked up a stack of just base Donruss, not optic, but Donruss Alexander Walker cards for like quarter, 50 cents a piece, I think it was. I'm just like keeping those to the side. Who knows? I mean, I know he had a really good game in the scrimmage games, I believe. So they're penny stocks. So those guys, like I think we were talking about earlier, I have my penny stocks. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to buy it. If I could get a good sized lot of this guy, I'm just going to buy him. And if I invest $20 in a player, what is that for the potential upside of that taking off years down the road, or even next year they have a big year? A lot can happen in the offseason, a lot of trades, and then players step up into certain positions and, they take the reins a little bit more, kind of like what Brandon Ingram did. I mean, when he was on the Lakers, I did my research on him. When he was on the Lakers, he was always competing with other bigger names, especially last year with LeBron being on there.
Yeah, and it's funny too, because I remember, thinking of Brandon Ingram, when he went from the Lakers to the small market Pelicans team, I remember the word was like, oh, well, he's going to a bad team, so card prices are going to take a hit. That big market theory didn't really apply. I mean, it just kind of depends. It all depends on performance in a lot of ways. And, so anyway, that was kind of interesting. How do you feel about you mentioned COVID, and that's kind of the elephant in the room with sports. Do you feel like, I guess, what do you think the impact is going to be? Not just on cards, but just sports in general. I mean, do you think that they're going to finish the NBA season, MLB, NFL? What's kind of your overall thought on?
Yeah, me and my dad were just talking about this today, actually. I think that, in my opinion, the way it's looking already after a week, I don't think baseball is going to finish their season out. I think they didn't do a good job of doing what the NBA did. Obviously, it's completely different because it's outdoors and they have to go to different field. I guess I don't know what they could have done that would be more similar to what the NBA did to like stop it. But I feel like the players aren't taking it as seriously, or maybe the league's not strict enough on the players. But I don't see, in my personal opinion, I don't see the MLB finishing their season already.
Yeah, and you look at the MLB and then you cross it over with the NFL, and it's like, how is football going to go through this with the amount of contact, the amount of players on the roster, all the things? It's like there's no way. And the other thing is that the NFL came out and said if someone tests positive for COVID, that they're out for 3 weeks. 3 weeks. So it's not like you're out for 4 or 5 days. You're out for 3 weeks. I mean, that's that's huge in the NFL when you're playing 16 games.
Let me put this in perspective, because I just thought of this. And I know it's a different time and we have more knowledge of COVID and all that stuff at this time, I guess. But it only took one player in the NBA to have COVID, test positive for COVID back in March, to shut down the whole entire season, right? Rudy Gobert.
Pretty much, yeah.
And there is over 20 players right now in the MLB that have tested positive for COVID. Why have they not shut down the entire sport already? So that just tells me it's just I don't see it happening, man. So
talking baseball, your dad was the card savant that predicted the Project 2020 craze. He was one of the early ends.
Yeah.
So John was talking to me about Project 2020 before, it kind of blew up. And I kind of like, it was kind of like when your buddy said Bol Bol and you're like, well, what else you got? You said like Project 2020. And I was like, well, like, it's okay. And then like 2 months later, I'm kicking myself.
Whoa.
Yeah. So your dad should kind of tell that story. Now you mentioned Willie Mays is his guy, but he got in early on it.
He got in early, man. My dad, my dad has an eye for, my dad is a very creative guy and always been an entrepreneur of hobbies that he likes, especially like, record collecting was his big thing, and car collecting.
Okay.
Growing up, and still is. But he saw them because he keeps his eye on, he's a huge Yankees fan. Like, I don't think he misses a game, So to this day, and he follows Top, so he's like, okay, this seems interesting. When they announced it, Project 2020, he didn't really know much about what the set was, but he just saw the first cards that they put up because I guess he has a mail, on their mailing list or whatever. And he was like, John, this seems cool. Like artists are doing cards, and he bought the first 4 cards, and I was like, okay, let me test the waters a bit. So I bought the cards 4 through 6. And when I finally got the cards in the mail, however long after I ordered them, I looked on eBay, and you pay whatever $17.50 for a card if you buy the 2. Is it? I think so. 2. Yeah. Whatever it was, they were going for like the trout at that time. The Ermsey trout was like going for $70. I was like, holy shit! Like I could sell this card. I could sell this one card and pay for my whole order and some. I'm gonna sell it like a dumbass. I sold the top, the trout Ermsey. I sold the first Cal Ripken. I forget who it was, Fucci, I think, and it was. I sold the Jackie Robinson.
Okay.
The first, I think it was. I forget who did it. Anyway, yeah, and I still have, because I held on to it, the King Saladin. Ken Griffey Jr. That's 6 cards. So I still have that. And then I got, and then I stopped because I was like waiting for it. So I didn't buy any cards between that time and the time I got the cards. And then I sold them. And then I waited because I still wasn't sure. And my dad was still buying. My dad was buying like the older players, like the Sandy Koufax, the Jackie Robinson, because it reminded him as a kid, obviously all the Willie Mays cards. And then I got back into it with I think it was the Gregory Sif, Nolan Ryan card, and the F. Willie Mays card, because I thought that was really cool. And I bought multiples because I thought okay, well, if I could sell one and then hold one, I sell one and pay for the other one. That's fine.
Playing with house money at that point.
Yeah. So I started doing that. And then obviously it kind of was like, okay, I can invest this money. And then I saw that market just keep growing, and I thought me and my buddy Bill were like sitting there. We were like, well, why aren't we buying more? Why are we not buying 10? If we can buy this card today for $20 and it goes up to $300 before we even get the card, it was such a false market, and we should have been smarter. At our age, we're like, and we've, you make investments throughout the years, and you're like, shit, like, why didn't I think the bottom was going to fall out on that? But it did. Because I was even talking to Jeff about it. Same with, as I was talking to you about it, it's like, Jeff, have you heard about this set? And, he was like, I don't know, Yeah. And then he did that episode. He got a lot of flack for, but because they think that, maybe some of his followers thought that he was he made an impact on that market. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But I think it was, with any bubble, any market, I think it popped. It
was certainly inflated. It was certainly inflated for sure. And then what's interesting is if you look, I think it was it's CRT Sports Cards that does that Project 2020, that great show on it. And I just saw, I think I was watching this morning's show, and it was saying that the print runs this week were 3,000. So then I'm like, well, shoot, should I be getting?
Go back in? Yeah.
I got in the week of Griffey Shore. Of course,
yeah, I remember that. I was like, oh.
Yeah, of course, I'm late to the game per usual, but but it's still fun. And actually, I ordered 5 of those Shore Griffies, and at least I like the card.
Yeah,
those cards where it's a cool looking card. So I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, if I make an art piece out of the cards, some people do nice displays of them, because any card that I buy, I'm not there was probably a couple cards that I bought that I didn't like, but most of the cards I bought out of that set, I like the look of them, and I like the artist.
Oh, yeah,
yeah. I know King Saladin personally. I know Gregory Sif. But those were the only 2 artists I knew out of all of them. So it was nice to be introduced to new art, and I find it was really cool because I thought it mixed a lot of different, people. You have art collectors, and I don't know how much art collectors got into it, but you have art collectors, obviously the card hobby, investors, flippers. So
And for those that are just joining the show, for some context, John is an artist himself, and John is the one that did SCI's his new studio, for Jeff's new studio, that sports card investor piece. John is the one that did that piece, an awesome piece. So for those that are just joining that weren't here at the beginning, I did kind of a quick intro at the beginning, but in case you missed that, so
yeah.
Well, good deal. Let's go ahead and seg into, does anybody have any questions? Are there any questions in the chat? I probably should have asked this earlier just so we could have a couple of preps, so apologies there. I'll see if I can scroll up if anyone had asked anything that we can go over. Let's see.
And if you guys are wanting to check out my artwork while we're on the topic, you can go on my Instagram is at JPO art. So give it a follow, check it out. Always down to do commissions like I did for Jeff. It was nice doing that commission because it kind of is fusing my two worlds together, the art world and obviously the sports card world. And I kind of want to do more of those type of pieces where I'm, mixing, sports related art.
Good. I mean, if Topps did a Project 20 or Project 2020 basketball, that'd be sweet if you could get in on that. Those artists.
That would be sick.
I would buy Project 2020 basketball just because it's basketball, because I love basketball cards.
Yeah. Well, in my opinion, I don't think they should do a project like this for a while, if ever again, because it wouldn't make any sense to me. Even if they did like Set 2 Project 2020, it doesn't make sense because it'll be 2021. And it's in my opinion, I just think it was such an amazing idea and cutting edge idea that Topps did. Oh yeah.
And I don't know too. I mean, it's such a massive set too. I mean, you're talking about 20 cards, 20 artists, 400 cards. That's a massive undertaking.
It's going throughout the year. Yeah, man. It's a lot of fun to watch, but I'm watching without investing anymore.
Right. All right. Ziggy in the chat is asking, John, what is your favorite artist not living and why?
Not living. Man, I'm going to go with almost like a cliche because of my style of work. I really gravitated towards Jean-Michel Basquiat. He died really young at, I think, 27. So his work always influenced me because it was it was kind of, you look at really amazing fine art and it's just really intimidating, it's like, shit, I can't think I could do something like that. But to channel the way he did, I'm talking about Basquiat, the childlike freedom of his work, it was just so, that's why I gravitated towards it. I was like, well, let me see that. Because I've always been a very, childlike mentality with things, especially creative, things. So I was like, let me kind of see what I could come up with. And that's where I started. I kind of really was my style was very Basquiat heavy. And then it kind of grew into my own kind of thing. I would, not as big of a spotlight or in the public's eye, but my artwork has grown in the public's eye since 2013 is when I started my career. So you look back at my work from then to now, you can see the maturity level grow, and it's pretty cool, And sometimes you go back and you say, hey, let me pull that little bit that I used to do and infuse it with something that I do now in my style now. And it kind of it's nice to revisit at times. But yeah, that would be the artist. I'm sorry to ramble a little bit, but that's the artist.
No, it's good stuff. All right, Richard Vallone is asking, can you comment on Score, NBA Hoops, and Don Russ? So I buy Hoops rookie cards for players that I like. So one player that I've been talking about that I like, and part of it is I'm a Mavericks fan, so I just like collecting the cards too. But I like Porzingis. I just like his game. I like that. It's kind of like what we were talking with Bol Bol. When you've got a 7-foot+ guy that just drops threes, but then can also just fly down the court, glides down the court and dunks, and all the putback dunks. And I'm like, this guy's from another planet. These players, but. The NBA Hoops rookies are the ones that I kind of missed the boat on the Giannis NBA Hoops. I was thinking I'd like to get a Giannis rookie card, but then pricing just got out of control. And so I went back to hoops, and then I didn't get it in on time. But I bought Porzingis hoops rookie cards. And then I've also been looking at like AD hoops rookies. And I just keep losing auctions on those. But so hoops, I guess that's kind of my focus. I bought Tyler Hero base hoops rookie cards.
Oh, really?
They're like $1.
Yeah.
Again, we're talking about just, the scarcity of the product on the shelves, and the fact that you go to buy the singles. And if there's certain players, that you like, then, it's right there on eBay. But what are your thoughts on those sets, whether it be Score or Hoops or Donruss, any one of those?
I think it comes down to the trickle down effect. If the player's big enough and his top card, a Prism or, is too high for the typical person to buy, I'm buying all of the sets, whether it's Donruss, whether it's hoops. Like I remember you talking about picking up Luka rookie hoops a few months ago, and that inspired me to grab a bunch of them. I was buying them for $15 to $20 a few months ago, so I think I bought like close to 10 of them. And
speaking of that, so this is kind of my another one of these moments. You just made me think of it. But so Luka hoops rookie cards in PSA 10. So when COVID happened,
$300.
Yeah. So when COVID happened, the prices for about a week, the prices were about $150 for a PSA 10. Right at like March 15th, March 20th is when things started to shut down. And so my thought was like, okay, like, everything's gonna be going bad here, and my thought was like pricing is gonna probably sag. So I was just kind of watching it, and I remember negotiating with people for like Luka hoops PSA 10s at like they were buy it now for $130, where they had been $150 and they were at $130, and I'm like, can you do $120? And it's like it's like just buy the card at $130. It's like but what I was thinking is like I did not see that coming where. You had a little bit of a price sag for maybe like 10 days, maybe 2 weeks towards the end of March. But then once April hit and May hit, nothing. I mean, there was prices, if anything, went up from there. So that's my story. Sorry to butt in there, but yeah, it just made me think of that.
No, man, I love it. Yeah, so to touch on, because you were talking about buying graded cards. For me, I'm not buy graded card kind of guy. I like to buy raw. I buy a lot of raw. You know why? And this may be stupid or whatever, but obviously because I want to get the most value, right? And the most like profit from my investment. But I look at it this way: if I buy 10 cards in a lot or something, and say 7, and I bought a jeweler's loop to examine the card, and I'm all into that, and I enjoy doing that, examining the corners, how sharp they are, the edges, and all that stuff. The surface, obviously, there's little tricks to that, but I would rather buy 10 cards, figure out these 7 are gradable or these 6 are gradable, whatever, and then I could take those raw cards that I don't feel are gradable and sell them and make my money right back. And then I'm not out anything. So it's a win-win, I feel like. So that's why I don't really invest in already graded cards. And I'm sure that, if I had more money to invest in the hobby, that maybe I would. But like the only graded cards that I bought is one, because my buddy told me about it. It was this Isaiah Thomas actual rookie card.
Oh, is that Star?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So I bought that, and it was like, I don't know, $70 or something. I got this from my local card shop a couple weeks ago, and I told you the price I got it at, and it's almost pretty much doubled in the last couple of weeks, which is amazing. I was like,
so what he was just showing is a Prism base rookie Luka and a PSA 9.
Right.
I remember, and I'm sure there's plenty of you that are watching that might remember this too, but I remember in September of 19, I bought 3 of those cards in a lot, and they were $22 each, graded in PSA 9. And I ended up selling them for I think it was like $110 each. And I was like thinking like, man, I just nailed it,
You just swept up.
Yeah. It's kind of like the Project 2020 story. It's like where you're selling a little too early. But of course, like nobody knew that cards were going to go absolutely ballistic, over a 12 months span of time. So I'm still happy with it. I mean, it is what it is, but it's just so crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I won Luca. Like I'm not going to pay Luca Prism prices, so I won one in a Raz for $13. I bought a spot.
Ooh.
Yeah, a few months ago. I was like, now that's an investment. Obviously, some luck had to play in there, but $13 for a Luca, base Prism was like, you got your value. So I sent that off to get graded. So, but yeah, man, I just look for the most value in the cards that I'm investing in. So,
all right, we had a question about Chronicles. Are you guys buying Chronicles, retail or hobby? Which do you guys think about the hobby price on that so far? I'll be honest with you. I'm fairly, and my wife will second this, I'm fairly much like cashed out on buying at this point. I think I'm just gonna probably sit and watch games, and I mean I'll probably buy things here and there, but I don't own any Chronicles at all, period. So it's not that I don't like those cards. It's just that I think that there's just other stuff. If I'm going to put, my resources, it's probably going to go. I just really like the optic mosaic and the prism stuff. And I just kind of, stick down those lines. I try to like stay in my lane. I don't know Chronicles enough.
Yeah.
I really dig in there.
Yeah. I don't understand the set. I was talking to the guy at my local shop here, and I was like, what is Chronicles? He's like, well, it's like the kind of like, I figured it as like a potpourri set where it's like everything's mixed in there. Like, you get some cool rare cards and, autographs. And I'm not a big auto guy. I'm not a big, obviously, jersey guy or whatever it is. And again, I'm more of base card type of thing. So I'm not investing in Chronicles, especially when like if you're looking at like how the market is going, to me, like the way that Mosaic hit the market, I was like, why am I going to pay 3 or 4 times the price for a blaster box right now? You know what I mean? I'm waiting till the set dies down a little bit and the focus is on something new, because everybody wants that new shiny thing, and I'll buy up because I'll see the value. Like I bought a ton of, the past few weeks, I bought a ton of the base Luca second year mosaics, because if we're thinking down the line, like the Optic 2016, like we talked about before, like this is the first real time or first year that the Mosaic came out, and it's Luca's second year. I mean, that's the sweet spot for me. I bought like 20 of these for $4, $3 a piece. It's a no brainer to me.
Yeah, we were on Ziggy in the chat just mentioned. He and I were both on Sports Card Live, has an excellent YouTube channel. And a few weeks ago, he had a product manager from Panini on, and he did actually talk about how they're going to have some sort of a special hoops and Donruss basketball set coming out at the end of the year, and that it's going to have Zion and Ja, cards in it. So I feel like, and after hearing that, with like a set like Chronicles, I think I would rather hold. If I was going to buy on a new set, I'd probably wait for like those Donruss hoops, those sets to come out later in the year, as opposed to buying Chronicles now. I think that would be my move.
Yeah, maybe they feel they underproduced the Zions and Jaws for this year in those two sets. Why would they do that again? Like I bought a few hoops and Donruss of both Ja and Zion. Yeah, I did buy some Zion, but they're at PSA. I lucked out and I got a Zion hoops, and it was a red back, and I didn't know what I was buying, but I got it for like $5, and it's like a $200 card. I was like, whoa. Yeah. So that was pretty cool. So that's at PSA, ready to get graded. And
nice.
But yeah, again, that's something that I learned, learned from my mistakes. If I would have went and bought a bunch of those hoops of Ja or Donruss of Ja when they were only $3, $4 a piece a few months ago, which they were, now they're a $16 card or $20 card. And it's like, there's value right there. Yeah. And I think Ja is the way better investment than Zion. I mean, I think we already talked about that, but like, I don't know. I'm not buying any of the hype. I think he's playing injured. I think that he's out of shape. If I'm watching the game, the first two games he played back, and like the guy's missed most of the season. Like, why is he even in talks of Rookie of the Year? Why? Because he came back and had some. Yeah. And he was like, fed the ball. He was fed the ball to have like big point games.
Yeah, it's interesting because and they keep on. I think it's going back and forth. Is like Alvin Gentry holding him back, or is it valid? Like, why is he not getting those minutes? I remember watching that game the other night and I'm thinking, like, why is Zion on the bench when they're trying to win the game at the end? It's like, he's your guy. Like, that's your guy that should be in the game at that point. And I think Gentry had said, like, he had already hit his minutes mark where we wanted him to be, and it's like, dude, is it something we just don't know there? Or, or is it Gentry's coaching? Is it legitimate?
There's a lot of BS going on, I think, behind the scenes. Because I think I told you when we were talking a few days ago, I think not only does the Pelicans have a lot of money invested in Ja, I think the NBA has money invested in him and advertising and all that stuff. Like, he's supposed to be the next, big generational talent. I think that his sponsors have a lot of money, and I think they're really trying to protect him and his name because of the amount of money they have invested in him as a whole. So they're all playing together to like protect his name. You know what I mean? Like, why did he go home? Was it really because his family had a family emergency or something? Or was he like getting an operation? I don't know. Who knows? Or maybe he was like, I think there's a lot that they're not telling us just to protect their investment in him as a player.
That's an interesting take. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. But yeah, you never really know. I mean, medical stuff. And I don't know too, is it like the NFL, like in the NFL, you've got to disclose the injury report and all of that. I mean, I don't know the regs in the NBA. Do they have to tell you if it's a knee injury that's worse than expected? Or I don't know. They don't come out with an injury report in the NBA, I don't believe.
No, but I watched a video a number of months ago. My buddy sent it to me about why Zion is not going to have a long career in the NBA because of his gait in his legs. They turn in, so his knees go in like this. So when he walks, he kind of like rocks side to side, and it has a lot to do with his hips and his knees. So he's going to have tons I think that he's going to have tons of issues throughout his career, and I don't know if it's going to be a very long career because of that. Just the way he was born. That's you can work on fixing that or helping that, but your body is, your bones are set the way they're set,
And the guy just plays with so much torque and movement. And he's just moved, he's a big dude and he's very athletic, and it's like his body, he's working against his body. Like, his game isn't, he's got an amazingly athletic game, but it's just, you're right. I mean,
if you watched him go up for that missed dunk in the game last night, he looked so discombobulated, like uncoordinated, the way his feet were moving, and then they crossed over. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like he doesn't have full control over his body when he plays. Even when he starts running up the court, he has to like kick start himself to start running up the court, and he just looks so out of breath. Like he's out of shape, man. When he said, "Oh, well," during the break, he put on 25 pounds of muscle or whatever it was, 10 pounds of muscle, lost 25 pounds or whatever it was, and they posted that picture of him in the gym. I think that was either photoshopped or whatever, because he didn't look like that when he was on the court, in my opinion.
It'll be really interesting. I saw too, Cornelius in the chat said that Jason Tatum does not look like himself in the bubble. Are the Celtics playing right now? I think that they play. They are. So I haven't checked the stats. I don't know if Tatum is not having a good game. I actually like Jaylen Brown. I talk about Jaylen Brown because I feel like he is he's a cornerstone on that team, and I do think that the Celtics will be they'll be a contender in the East. I'm not saying that they're going to win championships. I have no idea, but I do think they'll be in the mix, for the next few years with their young players. And they're good coaching.
Watching that Raptors-Lakers game yesterday, I was like, Raptors got it, man. The Raptors, it's going to be Raptors or the Bucks to me in the East.
Yeah, the Raptors look good. But again, it's like, are we just reacting to every game? Now we're looking at every single game.
We have to. They made it that way, I feel like, like every game is like almost a playoff game, even these first 8 games for each team, It's really fun to watch. I like this.
I'm excited to see the Suns Mavs tonight. I thought that I bought like NBA TV and stuff, but I guess I don't have. I have Sling. It's like this combobulated thing where I thought that I could get the game, but what I do now is on the ESPN app, I just watch it I just put like the game cast on, and so I just watch like each basket go up and
go dude, go on Reddit. Reddit has some subreddits that I've been finding games that aren't broadcasted on like ESPN or NBA TV, because that's how I've been watching all of the Grizzlies games, like even the scrimmage games that weren't broadcasted. So you go on Reddit, just type in NBA live stream Reddit, and it'll take you through, and you could watch any game on there. So
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'll check it out. But yeah, I'm excited to see, Ayton and Booker against the Mavs. Those are, just young teams that are, I think that they have some upside. I know the Suns is kind of like, how did the Suns fit in? But I like some of their guys.
I invested in Donovan Mitchell, only optic, and then some Darren Fox, because I feel like either Donovan Mitchell, they're going to move around the team a little bit after this year, and he's going to really have to really step forward more than he is now, or he's going to get traded to a bigger market team, in my opinion. And then same thing with Darren Fox. I mean, it would be a stupid move for the Kings to get rid of Darren Fox, but again, like I don't think the focus is too much on Fox right now. So I've been still finding really good value in his rookie cards.
Yeah, and you look, I mean, even these small market teams, you never know what these small market teams could do in a few years. I mean, LeBron was on the Cavs, and the Cavs were the worst team in the NBA. They got LeBron, and now they're the best team in the NBA, or one of the best. Yeah. The Golden State Warriors were, small market team for a long time, and then they put a dynasty together. So it's like, I think that's the fun part of the NBA. There's a lot more parity in the NBA now, where more than there used to be. It feels like. There's just a lot of talent on each roster. Not that everybody can compete for a championship, but there's just a lot of young talent in the league right now.
Yeah. Yep. I agree, man. It's a fun sport to watch.
Oh, man.
I just wish they wouldn't foul so much. It's kind of like I was watching what was it? The Grizzlies and the Blazers, and there's just so many penalties. I'm like, one after another. It like slows the game down so much. I'm like, just let them play, man. Get a little more street ball side to it.
Yeah, the 80s, 90s, they just didn't call anything.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. That's when it was like,
You think about if Shaq played today, that dude would be at the free throw line for the entire game.
Yeah. They got to take. I just think they just have, like any sport now. They like with the Brady rules and all that stuff. They're protecting a lot of. They have a lot of money invested in these players, and they just don't want them to get injured. I mean, everybody's going to get injured at some point, I'm sure, in their career. But like major injuries, I guess they're trying to protect. And I get it, but still, it kind of like let them play. Let the kids play.
No, I get it, man. Well, hey, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up. We're at the hour and a 12-minute mark. Any final thoughts? Anything you want to throw out there? If you want to also say again, kind of the IG account. If you're interested in John's art, he can kind of share some of his info again with you all. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, you can find my artwork at JPO Art on Instagram. My website is jpoart.com. I try to keep it all pretty streamlined there. And if you're interested in anything, hit me up. And I always work with everybody, and want to get my work in everybody's houses or their offices and stuff, which is awesome. And man, I'm just looking forward to the rest of the bubble and the playoffs coming up, and the prices of cards going up, because I feel like now the market is hyper focused on every single play of every single player, because you're going to have these players like spike, kind of like similar to the Bol Bol effect. Like everybody's watching that just a scrimmage game made his market go up 300% overnight, and it's just like you're going to see a lot more of that, I think, right now in the hobby, and that's going to be exciting. So.
Oh, absolutely. Well, hey, let's do this again. Maybe like a 90-day touch back. We'll do another one of these and follow up, and we'll come back to what we were talking about. Yeah. And see if any of these players are. Well, actually, in 90 days we should have an NBA champion. So like we can kind of go back and see where we were right or wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm down.
All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in, John. I will talk to you later, buddy.
All right, brother. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. Had a lot of fun.
All right. Take care.
See ya.